We're talking to Dr. CPoe, and the topic is the massacre at Blacksburg, Virginia. And of course, Dr. Poe, let us give you an opportunity to continue that analysis that you were making in terms of isolation and how this young man perhaps was isolated. Go on, speak to it from that perspective.
He obviously was socially isolated. I'm convinced that he was spiritually isolated. I doubt very seriously whether he had any spiritual support. And that would be a church or a temple or some other place of worship. So this man was in severe pain. I'm convinced he had a deep sense of inferiority. I'm convinced that he was deeply envious and jealous of those around him. He obviously was most jealous of people who were wealthy and affluent. And I believe that he directed then his envious rage towards them. He perceived them as having harmed him, as having mistreated him, as having hurt him, and I believe that he, at some point, made the decision to get even. He decided to get revenge against them, whom he felt inferior to, whom he felt were superior to him. And we see that quite a bit in people who become violent. They often become violent towards whomever they feel is superior to them. And that generally means they are suffering from deep feelings of inferiority. And of course, along with deep feelings of inferiority go feelings of helplessness and powerlessness and worthlessness. And so I think that the gun gave him a sense of power, gave him a sense of being in control, gave him a sense of being superior, a sense of being dominant. And so we see that in him. Now, what bothers me is there were many signs that this young man was in severe distress. The stalking was a sign, him saying he had an imaginary friend whose name was Jelly. He described her as a supermodel. Of course, the isolation from other people, the not talking, all of these were signs that this man was severely hurting. Of course, we know he was referred to mental health resource. They evaluated him. They sent him before the judge. The judge declared that he was an imminent danger to himself, but he was not committed, and he was referred for mental health counseling. Unfortunately, Dr. Haney, the present statute in the state of Tennessee says that you can only civilly or involuntarily commit somebody if they are dangerous to others, dangerous to themselves, or gravely disabled. The only problem with that, sometimes, say if a police officer comes out to a home to evaluate a person who has been reported as being dangerous to himself, others, or gravely disabled, unless the person is showing some violent behavior in front of the police, toward themselves or towards others, the police may not take them in. So we need to take another look at our mental health system in terms of helping people to access mental health resources that are available. And I think too many times we allow the statute to keep us from extending help to somebody who really does need help. I think that the tragedy at Virginia Tech is a wake-up call to the mental health community. We need to evaluate the accessibility to our treatment resources. I think we need to make them more accessible. I think we need to expand mental health resources. You know, would you believe Baptist Hospital does not have inpatient psychiatric beds? Metro General does not have inpatient psychiatric beds, and a lot of hospitals have closed down their inpatient psychiatric facilities because of the fact it's not cost effective. The length of hospitalizations have been telescoped down to about 3 to 5 days for the average person. So we don't have adequate mental health resources. In addition,